Hey everyone, Kris here again. Got another X-Wing Should I Fly It video for you all. So this time I'm going to look at Wave 10, but the Imperial faction. So I definitely wanted to try and get Kylo Ren into this list. He was the one I really wanted to focus on. I went through a lot of different iterations and then this was the final one I settled on. I wanted to really do the Buzzsaw shuttle with its new form, and then get into throwing Hotshot co-pilot as well. I felt like it was a little bit of a boost for it. Really helps that buzzsaw aspect speed up and do a lot of damage. And then the ship I decided to pair him with, I didn't really have enough points to do two aces, which is the route I wanted to initially take. So I went with a Kenkirk Palpatine Rebel Captive, and then I had no points left, so I took two EPTs. I went with Trick Shot and a Score to Settle. So Trick Shot on Kenkirk, I really like Trick Shot on any of the turret based primaries because you can get it to trigger more often, and it just helps you when you're moving around the board, ups that attack value, which helps mitigate any of those obstructed shots you need to take. Rebel Captive just because he's a bit of a juicy target with Palpatine on there, so try and keep stressing. And it really helps with the design of this list with Kylo Ren. If you shoot him, the first person to shoot him each round gains a condition. If you shoot Kenkirk instead, you're going to get stressed. So you can really play around with your opponent's target priority and how you want to make them think about it and how you want to make them work. Then we go into some weird interactions with like a Score to Settle and Hotshot co-pilot, and how that might end up working. At the minute it's a little bit tricky because obviously the ships have only come out today, there's no FAQ on this yet, but the interaction with Hotshot co-pilot and the debt to pay could be interesting depending which way it's ruled. But at the moment, I'm going to assume that you can still spend a focus token to modify 0 attack dice, because that's what's been established with being able to spend key and foul and distress and stuff like that. But the interaction I'm talking about, obviously, is a Score to Settle gives Kylo a better chance of being able to push his own crits through, and it also means that when he gets shot, the opponent gets to have the same ability. But if they only roll one focus result, there's a chance, I'm not saying it's a big chance, and I definitely won't be playing this at the moment, but there's a chance that the opponent might be forced to spend the Hotshot co-pilot focus token before leaving them no dice to modify. So it depends if whereabouts are going to drop Hotshot co-pilot in the attack timing chart. I've not really looked into it that deeply, but it could have an interesting impact on a few different abilities. So it's a card to really watch out for, but I'm really looking forward to having a play around with it and see what abuses I can get out of this card, because if it does end up going that way, it effectively turns off a Score to Settle's downside for if they ever have a focus action. And obviously if they're not taking a focus action, Hotshot co-pilot's doing its job already. So it could be interesting. As at the moment, I'm going to play it as if they have a focus result, they can change it to a crit first and then spend the focus token to modify 0 dice. I'm pretty sure that's how I would rule it if I was TOing an event, but it does all depend on if they put a timing window onto Hotshot co-pilot where it's going to drop in that timing flow chart in the attack phase. So attack wise, if you can get them lined up, you're going to do a decent amount of damage with the shuttle, and then Kenkirk's still going to be pounding away. Palpatine's mainly going to be used on offense in this list to make sure you're triggering that crit to get your blinded pilots out, to reduce the amount of attacks coming back towards you, and that's going to be key. If you can mitigate damage through Kylo's ability or stressing people and that kind of stuff, it's really going to be interesting. Another iteration of the list I was thinking about was swapping some stuff around, having Palpatine on Kylo, and then you can do he doesn't need fire control, so he can go up to sensor jammer, and you can get him to have sensor jammer and the Kylo Ren shuttle. How can I forget what that's called? title, so you can stress that way. And Kenkirk keeps Rebel captive, but you can mess around with some of the other upgrades, and you get a lot more stress control that way. You can assign stress to different ships, and just try and keep your opponent doing predictable moves. But again, the points are pretty tight if you want to keep Palpatine in there. I'm not convinced that he's 100% needed for this list at all. I definitely think you could do some interesting stuff, like you could have Izzard on Kenkirk as well, and then free up some points for maybe a push limits or something like that, where you can start doing the combat phase boosting, or even getting some of those Imperial crews that we have now, the different systems officers, and do some stuff that way. But there's some scope for this build, but this is the one I've gone for at the moment, so we'll see how it does tomorrow. If you like the build, let me know. If you get it on the table, get any results. I think this one does have legs. There's a lot of hit points in there. What's it, 28 hit points? No, higher than that? No, 28. Yeah, 28 hit points I can count. So pretty decent, and a good amount of attack dice being thrown with the gunner fire control buzzsaw thing, if you can keep it shooting. You got to remember the shuttle does have that one hard turn, so it is going to be easier to keep in the fight. It doesn't have the K turn, but it is going to be easier to get around the table and keep getting those shots. But I think you've got to try and get a nice slow approach on there. But yeah, that's about everything. So we'll see how it performs on the actual table. But thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll speak to you again soon.